Monday, Alf moves to a monastery.
Where's the little monk's room?
Will he take a vow of silence?
Bite your tongue.
Meet the monk from Melmac, Monday.
He's very entertaining.
Welcome, wherever you are, to Alfsplaining, the programme where me, Ben Baker,
and me, John Matthews,
take a look at the American sitcom Alf, and basically we give it a once thorough going over. We've got a brush to get through some of the tougher segments of it now,
and gloves.
Yeah, because it all comes out in your hand in clumps, basically, doesn't it? So,
oh man, it's awful.
It's terrible. But if you've not seen the sitcom Alf, it is a very good sitcom about an alien who crash lands into an American family's home, and chaos ensues, or is adjacent to chaos depending on the week and the plot line.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's chaos, mayhem, and hijinks in every week's episode. So please, you must watch it.
And if you want to know what we're going to talk about today, you must watch the episode Wedding Bell Blues.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
I know. It first aired in America in October 1987. If you were in Germany, Wedding Bell Blues would have translated to
In der Kutte or Kutter des Busers. Is that a B or a double S? In der Kutte des Busses. It's got an umlaut over the U, so it must be Busses. Anyway, that translates, as I'm sure all German speakers already know, as In the Penitent's Robe. That's In the Penitent's Robe. The font, ladies and gentlemen, on the DVD insert I'm looking at here is so bad, it's very difficult to tell what that word actually is. It's not my pan-European incompetence, it's the font that was used on the insert.
Although pan-European incompetence was the name of your last tour. So, words.
If you want to know the write-up here for the DVD, this is what the Germans read. Shame on you, Alf. A terrible secret forces Alf to join a monastic order. Too bad. He can't quite keep the vow of silence.
I mean, that's sort of true, as we'll get on. But also not as well. So, ratings-wise, this did well. It's got 19.9 million. 31% share of all people watching that evening. I was 13th for the week between La La W, as we always called it in our house, because funny, LA Law.
Yeah.
World Series Game 1, which, as we all know, was as famous for Kirk Gibson's home run in that particular game at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles, when Kirk Gibson initially held out the Los Angeles lineup with injuries to both legs, which after being called upon to pinch it in the bottom of the ninth inning with 2 outs. He hit a 2-run walk-off home run against the Oakland Athletics pitch in Dennis Eckersley.
Oh, excellent.
And the home run won the game for the Dodgers 5-4.
Oh, man. Your sporting knowledge really is excellent. We should do a sports cast, shouldn't we? To tap into your sport knowledge that you know off the top of your head.
I love sports. Big fan. I'm going to do sports planning. I'll do sports planning.
Anyway.
We've got a new director, Bert Brinkerhoff, which is a great name.
Crazy name, crazy guy.
Previously an actor, he was nominated for a Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Special Class Directing in 1974 for the episode The Mask of Love from the anthology series The ABC Afternoon Play Break.
Oh, well, mine.
And then he won 3 consecutive Primetime Emmy Awards for Outstanding Directing for a drama series from 1971 to 1981 for Lou Grant.
Oh.
But not for Alf, which this would be the first of 17 episodes that he'd end up doing. And it'd also be the first of 12 episodes for the writer Lisa A. Bannock, who basically clearly wrote for a lot of sitcoms. And I don't think, because Bert Brinkoff doing a load of episodes and Lisa suggests that they're not scattering the commissions quite as much as Series 1, throwing any shit and seeing what sticks.
I couldn't find any real information about Lisa A. Bannock at all. She seems to be a mystery woman of writing.
I found 2 projects that fascinated me that she'd worked on. The New Addams Family,
Okay, yeah.
a series that genuinely did not exist, clearly because it didn't have as good a theme as The Munsters today.
Welcome to the Addams Family. How you do, the Addams Family? Coming to the Addams Family.
Wonderfully scary.
And pleasantly hairy.
Delightfully very.
It's the Addams Family.
Welcome to the Addams Family. Going to the Addams Family. Coming to the Addams Family.
Stop.
Filmed in Canada, of course, one of those syndication things. And
Yeah.
the Blues Brothers animated series.
Wait.
Do
What?
you remember that?
No.
Exactly, because it never aired.
Oh.
The animated adventures of Elwood, Jake, and the band. 8 episodes were produced for UPN, but the
Right.
show's cancelled before any of them aired.
So has it ever been seen anywhere?
Well, some animatics have leaked since of one episode and a trailer, but otherwise, no. I don't think it was ever properly finished.
Oh, fascinating.
Meet Jake and Elwood.
Oh, mama!
2 guys who belong in a cell.
All he did was compliment his sister's skirt.
Yeah, but you did it from the inside.
Try to be nice.
Animation cell, that is.
Punch it!
They've been on every television network's most wanted list for years.
Jake, Peacock, dead ahead.
Not yet.
But he did feature Aykroyd and Belushi.
Did it? My God.
Peter Aykroyd
Oh.
and Jim Belushi. The brothers of the two main ones. But yeah, but I don't know why that got cancelled. And it was the year before Blues Brothers 2000 as well.
Okay.
You know, who
Oh.
knows? Who knows what could have been?
How amazing. I should look into that some more afterwards. That sounds incredible.
Yeah, he's-
I say incredible from an interest perspective rather than the actual content. I assume the content will be subpar.
that is always a possibility. But not with Alf, because
Oh, no.
Alf is always on fire.
Yep.
And we start this episode with a rather rare duo of Alf and Kate, just them two together. Kate clearly not despising Alf like she used to do.
A scene very reminiscent of the opening scene in That Asparagus one.
Yes, she's sewing again, being a woman, doing her womanly duties.
The womanly duty with a sewing machine on the table, making a costume for Brian.
Steady on, no spoilers, flipping
Well,
heck.
I'm just saying.
She's making something.
The beats of this episode are reminiscent at the start of the asparagus thing.
They really very much are.
Oh, what was the asparagus? Oh, it's not easy being green. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, don't get me wrong. I'm
You're trying to block you out, I know.
I'm 50% of the world's premier Alf-splaining duo, and I can't remember any of the episode titles. So
Yeah,
it's the asparagus one.
that one's okay to forget, I think.
Yeah.
So it's a really lovely. It's only about 30 seconds of them. Alf's like incredulous that there's a stamp commemorating some guy walking on the moon,
Yeah.
and like him not getting a stamp, despite the fact he was the first,
Melmac to wash his hands before eating.
which is horrendous.
It's a miracle they survived as long as they did.
Yeah, and at that point, I'm not sure if it's Kate laughing or Anne Shadeen, but it's a really lovely little moment before our Willie turns up.
Yeah.
And he's home from the office with gifts for Alf. Well, the gift of nothing, anyway, which unfortunately he gave him yesterday.
Good guy. Good
But
guy.
again, we're like that childlike Alf going, "What have you brought me?" And there's no, nothing.
Hmm.
But luckily, Alf can take solace in the fact that he's already eaten Willie's dinner.
You left my dinner unguarded?
He's such a prick.
It's all right. Kate will make Willie a sandwich if Alf hasn't eaten all the bread.
Yeah,
Maybe he's eaten all the bread.
yeah, he has. So another good start already. And then we get a wonderful little moment here where where Alf calls Willie by a brand new nickname.
I was excited by this as well.
Yo, Wilkins, how much you want to give to the monks?
What monks?
We got an appeal from the Brothers of the Peaceful Dominion.
That's my checkbook.
Yeah, they're your checks.
Wilkins.
Yo, Wilkins.
Yo, Wilkins, he said.
But Alf's all ready to go. He's got a Willie's checkbook there. And Willie seems genuinely alarmed. Like, he does it like a they live style point.
Oh, yes. Yes.
It's like, surely you're used to this, man.
Well, perhaps he's more surprised that Alf although admittedly not Alf's finances, Alf is now considering giving to charity. He doesn't seem the most charitable type, does Alf? He's very keen to give the monks a bit, as it were.
And for no real reason.
No. Well,
other than it'll crop up later on. But I mean, there's nothing in it for him, which there normally would be.
No. This was the confusing bit about this opening scene.
And he's even been charitable enough to let Willie in on it because he's learned how to forge his signature.
Yep, and he's even mastered the effeminate loop that Willie puts on the capital T.
Which Willie says, "My loops are not effeminate. They're decorative."
He seems very put out that his stylish signature that he spent years cultivating has been dismissed, like his rain gauge, like as out with Alf.
Dissed by this furry bastard.
Yeah.
So, music, back to the original theme again.
Yeah, we were still back on the original theme, which the new one appeared for like one episode and now has been sidelined again. So
it's very odd.
Not sure what's going on there. I like that opening scene, by the way. I laughed a great deal at it. I don't know if I was just getting hysterical.
Yes.
But I was in a particularly good mood whilst I was watching. But every line seemed to be either a feed line or a punchline or something. And in that short burst before the titles, I really did laugh an enormous amount.
I think it's a good gag-heavy episode, this one, definitely.
It is.
And for a first-time writer, Lisa A. Bannock seems to have nailed it rather.
She's putting the effort in.
Yeah. So we're having a family scene. Lynn is in the foreground, studying hard, by which means she's holding a book and sort of looking a bit confused.
Yeah.
And we finally get to see what Kate has been sewing. It's a Friar Tuck costume for Brian. We know this because he immediately turns around to Alf and says, "It's a Friar Tuck costume." Even though Alf has presumably been in the room for ages and he's very aware.
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming they've got Willie in to write another score for this show, this Robin Hood show that they're going to. I mean, the piano's lurking there in the background, tantalising with the lid up.
Robin Hood, oh Robin Hood, you come and steal our dinners.
He lived in Sherwood Forest.
See, there you go.
It writes itself.
It really does. So Alf says he knew a similar character to Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Back on Melmac, but spoilers, he just robbed people's hoods off the cars.
A fine joke, a fine
joke,
Alf joke. Nothing too spectacular, but good enough.
And kind of tied into the Beastie Boys around the time with the old VW things being stolen, I guess.
Nice cultural reference.
And I love the lines that follow. Basically, Kate just goes, "Alf, if he just leaves alone," and he goes, "Fine, I'll go bother Lynn." You don't even put a cherry on it or anything. No. I'm very aware I am an irritating get.
It's like he just can't be bothered coming up with anything now. It's like that time when Willie just told Mrs. Monarch, could you turn and face the door for a moment? And she asked him why, and he said, "I don't know." It's just I love the just the resigned nature of everything nowadays.
Yeah. So Lynn's putting together the family tree, which is kind of the sort of catalyst to this entire episode. And a brilliant Alf line here.
What's all this stuff?
Oh, it's a project for my sociology class. I'm putting together our family tree.
Well, who chopped it down? Was it me again?
It's not that kind of a tree.
Well, he says, a lovely throwback to the time he chopped the Christmas tree down. So I really enjoyed that.
But he does sort of imply that Alf has some short-term memory gaps thing. It's like he does these things. And then I'm appalled that I'm being accused of that. Oh, I did do that. Oh.
Well, Alf's memory, it's probably forgiven for his short-term memory gaps due to the fact his ship has been gutted for parts, rented to a Hollywood producer, and is now apparently still on the roof, full of all his stuff.
Well, I did wonder that, but because we're going to get to that in the next scene, a bit more of Alf's spaceship comes in the house. But before that, basically, Lynn explains genealogy to the 228-year-old. And when finding a picture of Kate wearing makeup, aged younger than she was allowed to wear makeup, Kate immediately changes the subject. So, why don't you make your own family tree, Alf? And Alf doesn't remember much. Mainly, his father was always breaking things, and his mother sat around eating all day. To which Kate goes, "It's amazing you turned out so well."
Which is a sort of all right joke. It delivered really well. And Shadid doing the best with bare minimum of material there. But I think Alf's punchline was better than that.
Thanks. But sometimes I do blow my nose on the wrong towel.
Kind of beautiful because there's a weird pause And then a very understated,
What?
not a what, like it's not a sitcom what, it's a genuine like what,
Yeah.
Then it just goes to the next scene, which, as you say, is Willie bringing part of Alf's spaceship in, apparently dressed as a postman for some reason in this scene. Not entirely sure why.
That Willie's wardrobe for this week.
I can see why your spaceship crashed. You were over the weight limit for luggage.
Well, gee, Willie, why didn't you ask for help?
I did. You said no.
If you'd only use the magic word please.
And I've got to say,
Yeah.
I think that's my top Willie moment.
Oh, you think so?
It's Alf saying, "Why didn't you ask for help?" I did. You said no.
Yeah.
It's this entire scene, just the incredulity is wonderful.
Willie is very much the cuckold in this scene as well. He's lugging stuff around. I assume Alf was leching after Kate whilst he was doing it and laughing at Willie at the same time. I don't really. There's no need for this. Willie could have just said, "I'm not getting your shit down from the ship, Alf, unless you help."
You hairy get. But anyway, so he's got these boxes full of photos from Alf's past, and we see various things like a photo of his 4th grade class. How do we identify Alf in that picture?
Oh, he's eating paste.
He's the one eating paste.
I wish we could see these pictures. I really wish we could see these pictures. They've made prop photographs, and you can sort of catch a glimpse of something printed on them.
Yeah.
But we never get to see them, and it's really frustrating.
Especially because we find out Alf's 4th grade class teacher was
With a vacuum cleaner.
And then we find that Alf collects photos of his thumb over the camera.
Yeah.
Like Willie thinks that's a mistake. Hilariously.
Yeah, good.
More photos at his parents' wedding.
Yeah.
Photos saying, "See, Mum's feeding Dad a piece of the wedding cat."
Lovely. Again, nice reference to the cat eating. Every episode, you've got to throw it in there.
He does. They bloody love cats. What can I say? They love eating cats. So, did you write down the information behind his parents' wedding day?
Yes, I did. Well, they got married, ladies and gentlemen, on Twangle the 12th. But Alf, shockingly, wasn't born until the 28th of Nathan Ganger.
Yes, which weirdly, how you can I think it's because it's an N, you can kind of see it as a November kind of thing. It's weird how you can kind of in your head.
They're both good words. Twangle the 12th and 28th of Nathan Ganger are good, solid phrases. Listener, try saying them out loud now. We'll pause and you try saying them out loud and you'll go, I enjoyed saying that out loud. Twangle the 12th and the 28th of Nathan Ganger.
Good,
it was fun. It was fun to say it out loud, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. So this basically leads Alf to the shocking revelation that his parents were married before he was born, which is obviously a hilarious. It's shameful here to be out of wedlock.
Well, I pondered this because I thought, okay, they've just done a quick switcheroo for a sitcom, but why would that be disgraceful? I didn't really quite understand the logic behind it at first. If marriage is still a thing on Melmac, then the concept still exists for some reason. But then I thought, as I looked into it a bit more, marriage's primary purpose was to bind women to men and thus guarantee that a man's children were truly his biological heirs. Through marriage, a woman therefore became a man's property. It was always a practical measure as opposed to one of romance, and the concept of love in marriage didn't really occur until the Middle Ages. So maybe, and here's my theory coming up now, that the Melmacians were actually an extremely feminist society. By having a child in wedlock, it means the impression is that the male Melmacian is subjugating the female. And that is why Alf is so ashamed by this.
I mean, it's a powerful piece. I assume that is in the Female Eunuch, the original ones, the Melmacian verses.
I didn't read it.
But yes, I like that. We get this baffling back and forth, which Willie says.
And they say it's easy raising an alien.
Who says that?
People who've never raised an alien.
It's a proper, what?
It's a strange old thing. It feels like an outtake that's been left in. We say this every week. There's a few things get left in to fill time, and that kind of felt like one of them.
But it's basically buying time for Alf to sort of run off poddle off into the living room, and we hear the most unpleasant sound we've ever heard come from Alf, which is saying something.
He's weeping. He's sobbing. And
openly sobbing.
It's genuinely not a comedy sob or anything like that.
No.
No. He's
It's
actually
really not.
he's actually genuinely upset.
Alf?
He is. He's absolutely heartbroken, and so he races off again at Alf speed to Willie and Kate's room, and we get this like weird handheld cinema variety shot of kind of them, Willie and Kate sort of following through the rooms. You see some corridor and everything, like things you don't get in sitcoms.
It was strange. It just sort of stood out as this, the camera was set on the corner. They came around the corner. The camera walked back in a sort of West Wing kind of way into another corridor so that they could then go past.
That must be like Burt Brinkerhoff. Obviously, he won awards for Lou Grant. It was a very Lou Grant kind of move.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, maybe we're going to be getting a lot more of that sort of thing throughout his episodes.
Bit of cinematography in Alf. Well, we'll look out for that then. The Brinkerhoff move.
Yeah. So Alf has gone to Willie and Kate's room, and we do get a nice bit of business here where obviously there's been like 10 seconds between the previous scene.
Yeah.
And Willie knocks on the door, and Alf says, "Who is it?"
It's very good, yeah.
And more hilarity follows.
He said, "What are you doing in there?" And Alf says, "Reflecting on the wretchedness of life," which I thought was a great line. I enjoyed that.
That was under my hobbies on the original MySpace.
But then Willie goes,
I didn't mean, what are you doing in there? I meant, what are you doing in there?
Oh, sure. Confuse me with syntax.
Syntax, one of two words that you will not get in a general sitcom. The other one coming up very, very soon. So finally going into the room, Willie sees Alf sort of distraught on the bed, kind of, and suggests that Alf is doing his Susan Hayward impression.
yes,
Which was
and mine.
my and his most impenetrable pop culture reference of the week. Now, we do get a second one. I wasn't sure which one you'd go for.
No.
Because we get two very close back-to-back here. So
Yeah, I was humming and ahhing between them both, and I suddenly thought, well, if you've picked that one, I'll go with that as well.
But yeah, so Susan Hayward, born 1917, American actress who won an Oscar for her role as a death row inmate in I Want to Live in 1958. She did a lot of those kind of very dramatic roles for a time.
Ha! I never even knew the dame.
You know she's been murdered, don't you?
Yeah, so was Julius Caesar. I didn't know him either.
But she had at this point been dead for 22 years. So as a reference to Willie, bang on.
Oh, yeah. No notes.
And Alf after that says, because there's like being born in wedlock is a huge stigma, and Willie Kate, well, we were born in wedlock. It's like, you think the whole universe follows the same moral code as one backward planet that worships Don Knotts? And again, Don Knotts kind of known over here, but not massively. He was a guy who always talked like that.
I will know him as a caricature in either The Simpsons or Family Guy, or possibly both. I can't remember which, but yeah.
It was Barney Fife in both his own show and the Andy Griffith show, and was later in Three's Company.
Mr. Furley, what are you doing?
Never mind what I'm doing. What are they doing?
Nothing.
Oh, don't give me that. I heard. Rub-a-dub-dub, come hop in my tub. I heard all of it.
You heard all of what?
What is going on in here?
Yeah, I was just asking. How'd you get your clothes on so fast?
What?
What? I know what you were doing.
Putting up a shower curtain?
That's right.
He just basically turned up in stuff and generally had a weird voice. Oh, and he was the incredible Mr. Limpet as well.
He sounds kind of like Willie from your impersonation. So
thanks.
If Alf thinks Don Knotts is very entertaining, as we learned, he should therefore find Willie very entertaining.
I mean, I see he does, but not in the same capacity.
Yeah.
At least Don Knotts was still alive. So they try to calm Alf down, but he's too distraught, so they're just going to leave him for the night in their bedroom, despite Willie's protest that the sofa bed is too lumpy. And so Alf goes to the window to monologue.
Of course he does.
And is immediately distracted by
Mrs. O'Connor getting changed.
Yes, presumably the nude.
Yeah. Now, I discovered something interesting this week, and it's a fact about Liz Sheridan, who played Mrs. Ockmonick. She dated James Dean, you know.
Did she really?
She did. Huh. There are no pictures of it on the internet.
Damn.
There's lots of pictures of women with James Dean credited as being Liz Sheridan. None of them actually are, but she has written a book about it, or she did before she popped her clogs. About 20 years ago, she wrote a book about her time with James. So,
blimey, Charlie.
There is an interesting sidebar to this episode, and the hideous Mrs. Ockmonick getting undressed.
Although, as we found out from the previous episode, when she had her hair down and everything, not so bad. So it's the next day, and Willie and Kate walk in the kitchen at exactly the same time. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, there's a tape recorder there. What's happened? Alf's run away.
At least he didn't nick the tape recorder. What is this?
Probably his grocery list.
Kate, listen, dear Earth family, the depth of my shame is so great I've decided to leave. Press play for further details. What's my Carmen tape?
Yo, Tanners, it's me, Alf. Hope you don't mind me recording over your Carmen tape.
No, your version is much better.
As you now know, I'm not there. I've decided to run away to a place where peace and tranquility allow for the contemplation of life's vicissitudes.
Vicissitudes.
That's vicissitudes. You'll hear it a lot again during this episode.
Will. And no one ever explains it. So for you, I will say it is a change of circumstances or fortune, typically one that is unwelcome or unpleasant. So Alf has disappeared.
But I kind of like that. The only reason for the tape player being part of this scene is so that Alf can be a dick and tape over a pre-recorded cassette. He could have just written this in the letter. We've seen him write letters before.
It means at least we get some Alf even in a scene without any Alf in it.
Oh, yeah.
And luckily, would you Adam and believe it, because there's a Friar Tuck outfit just lying around the house, it means that Alf can go to the Brothers of Peaceful Dominion, as mentioned earlier, to sign up.
I hear you're looking for a few good monks.
Now, Alf took the Friar Tuck costume. Where could he be? The family are baffled by this whole situation. They're all scratching their heads.
So we see where he's gone, even though it's blatantly bloody obvious. But then it cuts back to the family going, we just don't know where he is.
The clues are there. Brian comes in saying, my Friar Tuck costume has disappeared. Or Alf took it, or whatever. So that narrows it down, family. The clues are there. Willie's there with the tape player, playing the tape over and over again, pacing up and down, scratching his head like a grizzled old detective trying to solve the Zodiac Killer case or something like that.
I'm going to say Wayside Jack, but pretty much the same thing.
Yes.
I do actually have a theory that Alf might have been Wayside Jack, but that's for another episode.
Brian thinks he might have gone to Sherwood Forest, but Kate notes he only had enough food, says Kate, to get to Canada.
Well, they might have been trying to get in that Addams Family remake. But then Lynn comes in and goes, I remember those words. They were on a brochure that Alf was mentioning 10 minutes ago. For no reason.
Well, the famously charitable Alf, as we've learned from the series, wanted Lynn to give her allowance to the Brothers of Perpetual Indulgence or whatever they were called. So again, he was very, very keen to fund the monks. Fund the monks.
It feels again like there should have been something in there which is like, they guarantee he'll go to heaven or something. There was some reason for Alf to want this.
Well, although talking of heaven, he's joined a monastery, at which point Willie looks up to the skies and goes, I'm sorry. We've contemplated the religious nature of the family in the past, whether they are people of God or not, and it always seems that they're not, and it seems that they're not now, but that seemed a little bit of a throwaway reference.
Speaking of God, or a god of sorts,
we were.
Willie does appear to be dressed in this era as a You Bet era Bruce Forsyth. You just have to go and look. I swear, it's just exactly the sort of thing Brucey would have worn around this time.
That will get our international audience delighted.
All right, from Bruce Forsyth's Hot Streak. They all remember that. So naturally at the monastery, Alf can't shut up because they're all silent, of course, all of them.
I don't know if you put this down as well at the same time, but I wrote he really is at his absolute most Rodney Dangerfield in this scene.
Right. We're a silent order. We don't speak. Ixnay on the eking spay. Got it. Joke time, all right? This one will knock you on your cassocks. What happened when the heater went off in the convent? They had a bunch of blue nuns. Blue nuns. Get it? Tough room. Hey, why don't you let the hunchback answer it?
So Willie goes, finds him, now they've worked out where he is, and to convince him to come home, Willie tells him a tale of his mother, and learning she actually wore a wig. And this is because parents want to keep things on the children in order to, keep thinking they're perfect.
Yeah.
And someday, when you have kids of your own, you'll feel the same.
I won't be having kids. Monks give up more than talking, you know. Right, Eddie?
The idea of Alf having children, again, it's not far-fetched.
No, but it's not something that the series will ever contemplate.
Thank Christ. So at this point, Alf takes his hood off, and nobody goes, oh, bloody hell, there's an alien there.
No, the sort of gag was that, hey, Willie, they're a silent order. Who are they going to tell?
Yeah.
But they can still write letters to people.
For a silent order, they do all clap when he announces he's leaving.
Yeah.
Because he's a dick. So, we have a wrap-up scene, really. Back at the house, everyone's off to bed, apparently at the same fucking time.
What? I mean, Alf appears to be dressed as Hugh Hefner or something.
Well, yeah, he's got pyjamas on, which is novel.
Very unusual.
Well, it's like, I don't know what time this is. I mean, I guess when it's the end of the day, it's time to go. But like, everyone walks in, just say, glad you're here, Alf. Great to have you back in the house. But it's like, they all go to bed at the same time. They all go to, like, even Brian. But Brian's bedtime and Willie's bedtime are the same. It don't feel fair. But it also feels kind of believable.
Yeah. Maybe it was Brian's bedtime, but the rest of them were all very tired because of the stress of the day and Alf going missing.
Let's say more. Yeah. So Alf talks to the photo of his parents, forgives them just for that. So giving us a bit of closure on this episode, which, again, it kind of deals with some deeper issues, but not much.
No.
And I think, ultimately, we always go, does this episode need an Alf?
Yeah.
And in this one, I think it does need him to be an alien, but it kind of leans a little bit too heavily into the everything's wacky on Melmac angle.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually, yeah. I pondered that. A kid running away from home to join a monastery or something sort of works.
Yeah.
Alf's alienness is relevant to it, but it wasn't really dealt with as much as it should have been. I thought that we really cracked through the plot on this one. I thought it was a shame. Again, I think this is a lot of the Alf episodes. It's a shame they're not 42 minutes long or something, because you could really flesh out that whole monastery business.
Yeah.
Have a lot more stuff going on if you weren't constrained by the fact you've got to get it all done and dusted in 23 minutes.
Yeah. Regardless of that, I genuinely think my MVP is Alf.
Oh, yes,
for this particular episode, my most valuable Melmac person or whatever.
Yep, I completely agree.
Because he goes through a lot, and actually, you don't forget you're looking at a puppet, but you certainly appreciate how much he's in there, in terms of what Paul Fusco is able to do with him even just a year in.
And just, I completely agree. There's nobody else that could really hold a candle to him, as it were. And it was, as we said at the start, a kind of gag-heavy episode. There's certain periods in this episode where every other line was a punchline, and Alf was very much on form throughout it.
So, in that respect, funny episode. Plot-wise, it's kind of...
There's a couple of things to, bit of housekeeping to do. My top Willie was generally Willie's being cuckolded by Alf throughout the episode. Yeah. Being forced to carry his stuff down from the ship, being forced out of his own bed so that Alf could cry in there, having to sleep on the sofa bed and stuff like that. There was also... We've done Susan Hayward and Don Knotts, but there were a lack of pop culture references in this episode. What there were a lot of were impenetrable God culture references. Lots of mentions of things like cassocks and vespers and Willie saying amen to that at the end. There were lots and lots of things they wanted to get out that I think that they just wanted to make sort of religion jokes. And that the whole episode was kind of based around, hung from that.
But that's it. It's like, as we know from the British perspective, how many sitcoms are there about vicars or churches or, what have you, Derek Nimmo in most of them? It's like, there's comedy in cassocks. It just is.
Hey, that's the title of your next book.
It's out of all of them. It's just volumes 1 through 74.
History of vicars in sitcom.
Oh, don't get your vicars in a twist.
Ah, brilliant. Oh, flipping heck. Edit that out, otherwise somebody will steal it.
Tell you what did get snipped.
Yeah, Mrs.
In this episode, and I think I can't quite work it out.
Oh!
In the end credits,
yeah.
Did you notice there was a credit for John LaMotta as Trevor Rockmonic? And it's like, he's not in there.
Was he? I had to think for a second. Was he in?
Was that a mistake, or was there a deleted bit?
No, and I can't really think of where he would have been. It must have just been a glitch or an error on the typesetter's part, I suppose. But yeah, there was one other tiny moment where Kate says, "What does Alf know of life's vicissitudes?" I still have to put up the toilet seat for him. So we are learning a little bit more about Alf's toilet habits, and as regular listeners know, we are infatuated, I think is the word, by Alf's earners.
Yes, no further questions. So yeah,
and how he does it. But we do know he uses the toilet seat, but Kate has to put it up for him.
Again, the proves there was scenarios where this went hideously wrong.
It's been a dirty protest all around the house. He's just squirting everywhere.
And on that bombshell, we are brought to the end of another Alf-splaining. If you want more of us, John is fantastic on the socials. He puts up screen grabs and all sorts on
Alf-splaining on absolutely everything except Patreon, where we are Alf-splaining extra because it is extra.
Yeah, bonus episodes and stuff in there. I'm very proud of some of the stuff we've done there. More from Alf's world, which isn't just the TV episodes.
We're bringing in the Alf universe. There's a whole world out there that people maybe not aware of, maybe are aware of, but they certainly don't know as much as we do.
Exactly. And basically, just if you want more Alf, we'll be here every week until the end of time or the money runs out, giving you our takes of Alf-splaining.
Hooray!
Until then, ta-da.
Cheerio.
Where's the little monk's room? I have to take a vicissitude.